It's important to note that Israel is and will remain the closest U.S. ally in the Middle East. But it's also no secret that President Obama and Prime Minister Netanyahu have a frosty relationship. Actually, that's being far too kind. They don't like each other. And increasingly, they don't trust each other. Prime Minister Netanyahu, on his way to Washington, a speech to Congress on Tuesday, it only adds to the tension. Iran is the big sticking point at the moment. Prime Minister Netanyahu says, don't trust the Obama administration in these negotiations. He still says it's a special relationship, but let's be honest, it's fractured. And it's not just Iran. This is May 2011.
We believe the borders of Israel and Palestine should be based on the 1967 lines with mutually agreed swaps.
While Israel is prepared to make generous compromises for peace, it cannot go back to the 1967 lines because these lines are indefensible.
That was point counterpoint in 2011. Later that year, this infamous open mic moment, then President Sarkozy of France telling President Obama, I cannot bear Netanyahu. He's a liar. President Obama responds, this was picked up in an open mic, you're fed up with him, but I have to deal with him even more than you. Obvious exasperation there. And as Prime Minister Netanyahu heads to Congress, so this is Susan Rice, the president's national security advisor. Listen to the language.
What has happened over the last several weeks, by virtue of the invitation that was issued by the Speaker and the acceptance of it by Prime Minister Netanyahu on 2 weeks in advance of his election, is that on both sides there has now been injected a degree of partisanship, which is not only unfortunate, I think it's destructive of the fabric of the relationship.
Destructive of the fabric of the relationship. Now, normally an Israeli prime minister doesn't want to get too much space with an American president. It hurts the Israeli prime minister back home. Why is Netanyahu willing to do this? Look at this. 62% of Israelis in a recent Jerusalem Post poll believe the Obama administration is meddling in the Israeli election. So, Lisa Lara, as the prime minister comes to Washington, he will address Congress. We know the White House doesn't like it. How much of headbutting are we going to get, or will there be an effort to try to minimize and move on?
Well, if this past week was any indication, I think we're going to see quite a lot of headbutting at CPAC, which we were just talking about a few minutes ago. The Republicans brought up Israel time and time again as an attack against President Obama. We're really in uncharted waters here. The Israeli-U.S. relationship has always survived by being pretty nonpartisan, and now you have Prime Minister Netanyahu basically coming here for the biggest campaign rally of his reelection. I think the Israelis have calculated that he can steer the relationship back on course once he's reelected, if he is reelected. I'm not sure that that's so true. I think we're going to see a rough patch for the next remainder of the 2 years of the Obama administration.
There are always some differences. I came to Washington at the end of the Reagan administration, the H.W. Bush administration. Secretary of State Jim Baker had some spats. Even in the George W. Bush administration, where you had a very, very close relationship, at the very end, there was a dust-up over settlements. But I have never seen this public, this constant, this personal.
That's right. I mean, we're going to see a foreign leader stand in the halls of Congress and essentially denounce an American president. Some Democrats have said they're going to walk out or not show up. I think it's about 30 or so. But most Democrats will be there. They, of course, asked for a meeting with Netanyahu, who he refused. So it is increasingly partisan. I think we'll see this, as you said, play out in 2016. And I think it is unprecedented and troubling, I think, in terms of what sort of precedent it sets for this relationship and for other presidents going forward.
Netanyahu says the president's naive in trying to cut a deal with Iran. The White House says the Israelis have been taking and then distorting their briefings from the U.S. officials on how the negotiations are going, saying things that simply aren't true. Can you fix that, or is this relationship done?
I think
between the two leaders, not the two countries.
The Obama-Netanyahu relationship is deeply, deeply fractured, and it's hard to see how that's going to change between now and, January 2017, when President Obama leaves office. So I'm not sure what else can be done. Politically, I think you're going to see some folks on the right try to take advantage of this with the idea that they could somehow leverage support among Jewish voters in 2016. We hear that every 4 years, though, and it just never happens. So I'm very skeptical of that. Most Jewish voters in America vote on domestic policy, not Israel.
This was a card Speaker Boehner played the morning after the State of the Union address. He had this ready to go. They wanted to change the subject the day after. Any regrets on his part, or does he still think this is a benefit for him?
None at all. At a time when nothing else is going right for him, this has been a unifying force for Republicans. They all are in lockstep in agreement that this should happen. They're going to welcome him with open arms. A bit of a viewer's guide. Remember, Vice President Biden won't be there, so Orrin Hatch, as president of the Senate, will be sitting next to John Boehner. So it's a total Republican embrace of the Israeli prime minister, which they feel is a total win-win for them.
And it's confusing, though, on the Israeli point of view, because most Jews in the U.S. are still Democrats. So to align themselves with Republicans, it just seems like a very strange calculation that they're making. And I wonder whether this hurts them in the long term.